As a child and a lover of film, embroiled by the wave of new media, I tried to understand what attracted me to movies. Making them and watching them, I tried to imagine analyzing them without any knowledge of what makes a good movie. Was it the music, the dialogue, the acting, the cinematography? Then one day, I got Tron. Now, y'all might be wondering, why is the first video on your channel about Tron? And I get it, but hear me out. Tron Legacy is an incredible movie that's heavily criticized. Almost all video essay channels have made videos on Tron, either bashing it or praising it, like it was God's message described on the clay tablet. It's a great film that still has its flaws, but it does not deserve the bashing it gets. The reason the first video is about Tron is because this was the first movie that inspired me to look at films and TV from an analytical perspective. Why do some moments work? How does a music influence emotion? And why does this movie, make me feel so good? I've been making small sketch videos for a year and hadn't even delved into gaming on YouTube, but as a film major now, I get to share my thoughts on why Tron Legacy is an incredible cult classic. There are three distinct elements that seem intangible, but are the core basis of why I think that this movie just works. It's the visuals, the score, and then this one secret chemical X, so to say. So let's first take a look at the visuals. Through a terrifying flashback of de-aged Jeff Bridges, we are introduced to our hero. The film takes part in what I call spoon-fed storytelling, not because it doesn't accomplish what it's meant to do, but that it takes the path of least resistance and the least character development to tell us that Flynn has disappeared, he's lost his company, and, basically is disappeared into the ether. In my opinion, the film doesn't really begin until the well-crafted motorbike scene. Through an elaborate yet short-lived chase, and the break into Encom, we're told what kind of person Sam Flynn is. Crafty, intelligent, and ideological martyr carrying the flame of Kevin Flynn's Encom. It is also the first time we're introduced to the amazing score by Daft Punk. Now, I'm a huge Daft Punk fan, possibly the biggest in the world, and I will ask anyone to fight me on it. I'll talk about a little more about the score when we get further in, but just keep in mind that the impact the score has on the narrative is just incredible. After whatever the act is where you upload a harmless video in place of a major company's product launch that could tarnish its stock value and bring doubt on its leadership and perhaps cause innocents to lose their job, we're thrust into the grid. Now, really quick, I want to point out that this cab driver scene is hilarious.
Hey, not behind!
One sin-off. Wrong channel. Before we enter the grid, I want to say the cinematography is quite engaging. Never do you feel that you are an omniscient and are seeing the events unfold from an external perspective, but are discovering the areas with Sam. Now, the physics of how they get into the grid is a bit iffy, but it's a movie. We'll let it pass. And now we are on the grid. This introduction is awesome. In a few moments, we're introduced to the world and thrust along into the narrative. The concept of genuine inspiration comes to mind here. This scene sort of makes you feel out of place and intrigued at the same time, and the delicate balance between discovery and shoving information down your throat is how we don't feel terrified when we're getting new stuff thrown at us. Okay, wait, that's f***ing terrifying. And it's good. We understand the threat of this world instantly. The disc battle is impressive and it gives an insight into Clue, but the light cycle battle is how the film defines itself. jokes, mesmerizing animation, and allowing character expression and development by calling back to Sam's skill in writing shows how the spoiled brat is unrelenting and ingenious in his strategy. Also, the cinematography is amazing. The utilization of low-angle shots here, with a differing shot length that keeps the action grounded and helps us understand the pacing of the action. You know, as opposed to showing us shots from above or that are really far out as seen in the first Tron film. So these sort of shots allow us to stay grounded and feel like we're part of the universe rather than watching it, you know, from a screen. It's truly a testament to the director, Joseph Kosinski, and his vision that we get the story told through a very interesting cinematic perspective. The film manages one of the toughest things that movies like Alice in Wonderland and Oz the Great and Powerful, and even Assassin's Creed failed to do well. World building through visuals. Nothing seems out of place, and the way the movie throws information at you forces you to slow down and engage with the film to understand what's really going on. In addition, the great use of color, the mise-en-scène with relation to costumes and set design. For anyone that's not a film person, mise-en-scène just means anything that's on screen that you can see, which includes, you know, set design, the actors, the staging, the lighting, and all that. But especially the lighting and the costume and set design here are incredible. And they all instantly tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly of this world. Yikes, I hate looking at that face. Okay, it's finally time to talk about the score. Holy freaking hell, this music is amazing. The digital synth sounds along with the high percussion creates the dramatic effect while still keeping our attention to the action. I think Jeff Bridges, you know, in this movie explains it the best.
Biodigital jazz, man.
And thank you to the dude for that. Next, we started to look at the transition between the electro synth to cinematic chords that really shape the way the film works. The cinematic style music is built on like a staccato main synth that ring out on a heavy bass structure, and the way those are combined together is impeccable. I don't know enough about the music theory to analyze as well, but the value of the score is built on the theme of the film, and I think that's incredible the way the score and the theme of the film intertwine together to really empower the narrative. The core bass that the overture, or, you know, the main theme that you hear, the repeated sort of melody as you can think of it, that's what the overture is usually for any sort of movie structure, is built on a melancholic and like obscure sense in that it shifts between those minor and major chords consistently. So you never know if you're expecting a happy ending or a sad ending, and that's what it makes it work for this movie. In addition, so the accompaniment that goes with the score sort of determines how we're supposed to feel. What I'm trying to say is that the accompaniment or the repeated notes that fit within each main chord determine the context of the scene. Have a look at these two scenes.
Not a program.
In the scene where Sam is captured as he enters the grid, the final notes of the main theme are played at much lower octaves to have the deep sound of the last note have an impact. On the other hand, the last note of the main theme here is played with a melody of much higher octaves and that are layered on top of one another that create that triumphant feeling, especially coming from brass instruments. The versatility of the score and Daft Punk's unique use of their skill set, the repetitive melodies, create one of the best scores of all time, and I genuinely think they should have won an Oscar for this, because the way the score empowers the narrative, like I've said previously here, is just amazing. Now, let's talk more about the secret chemical X that I'd mentioned earlier. The reason, in my opinion, that Tron Legacy seems to work despite its shortcomings in script development of characters and good storytelling is because it relies on one of the oldest elements of storytelling: heart. Yeah, it doesn't sound like, a big revelation or anything else, but a lot of the time when people are writing scripts, they miss out on having that element of heart. What I mean by heart is creating genuine emotion through something that's supernatural, or even out there to the point where it may not exist in the real world, but the parallel that it builds allows us to relate to these characters. The entire plot of the movie is seemingly to get Kevin Flynn out of the grid, but that's not it. Sam is not the heart of the film, even though he is the protagonist in a narrative sense. Sam is like an MTRPG character that has little nuance, but is used as a vehicle by the audience to explore and enjoy the ride, so to say. The heart of the film, in my opinion, is the relationship between Kevin and Clue. This relationship is what drives the film, because it is a tangible representation of changing perspectives and emotional growth. Almost anyone can resonate with this film because, at the core, it's about realizing that you were wrong, and so you must learn from your mistakes. The young Kevin is overzealous, idealistic, bashful, without regard for consequence. So in creating Clue, he bleeds this persona into him without understanding what it means to create perfection and the flawed nature of that concept. And so Kevin's sacrifice is almost a biblical subversion of what we expect from this godlike entity. We see the Jesus pose, so to speak, in Superman and countless other heroes, but Kevin doesn't die for our sins. He dies for his, but in doing so provides humanity with Cora, the ultimate cure. We create our own demons is a theme of Iron Man 3 and also Tron Legacy, albeit in a more subtle fashion. Kevin's utilitarian view of saving the world over seeing his son is the heart of the film. That is why we can forgive all other shortcomings of this movie, as it shows you a fanciful new world and then destroys it in the end because it was built on a falsehood. The only thing real in Kevin Flynn's grid was a sacrifice. And that's why I love Tron Legacy.